Most people assume their phone will always work. You can have a full battery, strong signal bars on the screen, and still not be able to make a call or send a text. When communication fails, it's usually not because of one dramatic event. It's because the systems we rely on are fragile and easily overloaded. We've already seen this during wildfires in California, hurricanes in Florida and up the East Coast, winter storms and grid failures in Texas, and tornado outbreaks across the Midwest. Power goes out. Cell towers lose electricity or backhaul connections. Too many people try to call or text at the same time, and networks simply stop working. We've seen this happen again and again. During major hurricanes, people with full phone batteries couldn't reach their families for hours or even days. During winter storms, cell towers went dark when backup generators ran out of fuel. And during wildfires, entire towns lost communication at the same time evacuation orders were being issued. In many of those situations, the phones themselves were fine. The problem was that the network behind them had failed. And that's the part most people never plan for. One of the best parts about preparing for long-term scenarios is that the same tools usually help with the short-term ones too. Walkie-talkies aren't just for rare, worst-case events. They're useful for the things that already happen every year. Summer storms, wildfire season, winter outages, hurricanes, and tornadoes. If your communications plan works for those, it also works if something bigger ever happens. And yes, at the far end of the spectrum, events like a major solar storm or an EMP could disrupt communication systems on a much larger scale and for a much longer period of time. In those scenarios, the challenge isn't just the outage itself, but the repair timeline. Damage to grid infrastructure and supporting systems could take months, and in some areas potentially a year or more, to fully restore. Different causes, same result. Modern communication stops working, often without warning, and people are suddenly cut off from the information and reassurance they depend on. When that happens, stress increases quickly. You don't know where people are. You can't coordinate meeting up. You can't pass along instructions, give advice, or ask for critical information when you need it most. Welcome back to True Preparedness. Here, we focus on real-world readiness, practical tools, realistic planning, and skills that actually help when systems are stressed or fail. Today, we're talking about how to maintain basic communication when phones don't work, using simple, affordable walkie-talkie radios. If you want to see the radios we mention or learn more about them, we'll put links and details in the video description and pinned comment below. It's worth mentioning that there are a lot of good radio brands out there, and many people already own some of these without even realizing how useful they can be. Some of the most common brands you'll see are Midland, Motorola, Cobra, Uniden, and Readiness for basic walkie-talkies and GMRS radios. In my own house, we use Midland radios, which are very popular and easy to find. Andrew uses several Baofeng radios, which are affordable and very flexible. The important part isn't the brand, it's choosing something simple and reliable, and making sure everyone in your family knows how to use the same type of radio. One thing that's often overlooked in preparedness is mindset. People handle hardship better when they understand the timeline. If you know an outage is temporary, that power should be back in a few days or a few weeks. People stay calmer. They cooperate better. They make smarter decisions. Most storm-related outages fall into that category. Even if power is out for a week or even a month, knowing that repairs are underway gives people something to look forward to. Longer-term events are different. In scenarios like a severe solar storm or an EMP, recovery timelines are far less certain. Communication disruptions could last months, and in extreme cases, longer. That uncertainty is one of the reasons preparedness matters. Not because we expect the worst, but because we want stability when systems are stressed. Communication plays a huge role in that stability. If this kind of practical preparedness is useful to you, take a moment to like the video and subscribe for more tips like this. It really helps the channel and lets us keep making content like this. Fortunately, radios of all kinds are available, and they operate independently of cell phone towers and internet networks. Radios are not perfect. They're more limited. You can't always reach people reliably over long distances. How far you can communicate depends on your equipment, your terrain, and your experience. But radios can fill critical communication gaps when modern systems fail. For people who don't want to learn the complexities of ham radio, or for family members who just need a simple way to stay in touch, walkie-talkies are often the best starting point. They allow basic, local communication within about half a mile from radio to radio, sometimes more if one person is on higher ground. That may not sound like much, but in many real-world situations, it's enough. One other part of communication that's easy to overlook is power, and how many radios you actually have on hand. A radio doesn't help much if the batteries are dead, and it also doesn't help much if only one person has a radio. Most walkie-talkies use rechargeable battery packs, and many of them can also take standard AA or AAA batteries as a backup. That's something I strongly recommend looking for. In a short outage, charging from a car or a power bank may be enough, but in longer outages, having spare batteries, a small solar charger, or a hand crank charger can make the difference between staying connected and going silent. It's also worth thinking about how many radios you keep on hand. Having enough for each family member is a good starting point, but in many situations, it helps to have a few extras. Extras you can hand to older kids, extras for a spouse running errands, extras for a neighbor or family member checking on someone nearby. When communication is limited, the more people who can stay connected to the same plan, the better things usually go. Communication only works if the radios stay powered, and if the right people have one when it matters. A walkie-talkie is a bare-bones radio that operates on FRS, Family Radio Service, frequencies. FRS radios do not require a license to operate. You can buy them, turn them on, and use them immediately. That simplicity is their biggest advantage. They're ideal for families, kids, neighbors helping each other, short trips on foot or bike, and basic tasks like guard duty or chores around a property. The downside is that a lot of people own walkie-talkies. When phones go down, radios come out, and the airwaves can get crowded fast. If you've ever tried using walkie-talkies at a ski resort, sporting event, or campground, you know how frustrating it can be to find a clear channel. It's similar to the old telephone party lines, where everyone shared the same connection and conversations overlapped constantly. To deal with this, radios use squelch codes. Most modern radios support CTCSS or DCS squelch systems. You don't need to understand the electronics behind them. What matters is what they do. When you transmit, your radio sends a subaudible code along with your voice. Other radios set to the same code will open up and let your transmission through, while ignoring everyone else. This doesn't create privacy. Other people can still hear you if they're listening, but it does prevent you from hearing constant background chat. Radios that support this feature are often advertised as CTCSS or DCS capable, and it's something you'll want. Even with squelch codes, you may occasionally hear other users break through. When that happens, switching to a different channel or code usually solves the problem. If your radio has a screen, these settings are usually adjusted through the menu. If it doesn't, programming is often done with a computer using free software like Chirp. The good news is this: radios purchased in the same package usually come pre-programmed to work together. That's one of the reasons buying radios in bulk makes sense. You don't have to configure anything. They just work out of the box. One important thing to understand is that not all walkie-talkies are programmable. Most basic radios you buy in stores are locked to the standard 22 FRS channels. You can change the channel number and the privacy tone, but you can't add extra channels or customize much beyond that. That works fine when only a few people are talking. But when phones go down and everyone pulls out radios at the same time, those channels can get crowded very quickly. That's one of the reasons we recommend radios that can be programmed or configured ahead of time. With programmable radios, you can set specific squelch tones, pre-select backup channels, and make sure everyone in your group is using the exact same settings. It doesn't give you new frequencies, but it gives you much better control and much less interference when the airwaves are busy. That small difference can make communication much more reliable when you need it most. One more important thing to understand is which radios work well together. In most cases, any basic FRS walkie-talkie will talk to any other FRS walkie-talkie, no matter the brand, as long as they're on the same channel and using the same squelch or privacy code. Midland can talk to Motorola. Cobra can talk to readiness. Different brands usually work together just fine. In fact, this is something we've run into ourselves. In my house, we use Midland radios. Andrew uses Baofeng radios. We can talk to each other just fine as long as he's using the standard FRS channels. But if he switches to some of the extra programmed channels on his Baofeng, my Midland radios can't hear him anymore. The radios are both working correctly. They're just not on the same service and the same channel plan. Because of that, I've actually thought about keeping at least one programmable radio myself. That way, if Andrew is using custom channels on his Baofeng, I can switch over and be on the same page with him when I need to. Most of the time, simple radios are enough, but having at least one programmable radio in your communication plan can give you flexibility when you're working with people who use more advanced setups. Where people sometimes run into trouble is with programmable radios. Some radios use different default channel layouts. Some come pre-programmed with business channels, and some models are locked and can't be changed very much at all. That's one of the reasons we recommend buying radios in matching sets, or at least testing them together ahead of time. If everyone in your group is using the same model, or radios that you've already programmed and tested, communication becomes much simpler when things get stressful. The goal is not to have the fanciest radio. The goal is for every radio in your plan to actually talk to every other radio when it matters. Let's talk about some specific radio options. One solid choice is the Baofeng B-Tech FRS-B1. These radios are designed for business use, which means they're durable, simple, and reliable. They feature 22 FRS channels, NOAA weather alerts, a low-profile antenna that doesn't snag easily, and a larger than average 1800 mAh battery. Battery life is roughly 18 hours under normal use, which is excellent for a walkie-talkie. When purchased in packs, they come out to about $20 per radio, making them affordable enough to lend out without worry. For a few dollars more, the B-Tech FRS-A1 adds a display screen and an FM radio, while keeping the same core functionality. Another manufacturer worth mentioning is Readiness. Their H777H model is simple, inexpensive, and commonly used in warehouses and small businesses. It has fewer channels and a smaller battery, but it still provides around 12 hours of active use and much longer standby time. As always, you'll find links and details for these radios in the video description and pinned comment. All of these walkie-talkies transmit at 2 watts, which is the legal maximum for FRS radios. In real-world conditions, that typically translates to about half a mile of reliable range in suburban areas. In open terrain, you may get closer to a mile, but results can be inconsistent. That limitation is important to understand. Walkie-talkies are not long-distance communication tools. They are local tools, and that's perfectly fine. Preparedness isn't about one perfect solution. It's about layers. Some people eventually want more range. That's where radios like the Baofeng UV5R come into the conversation. The UV5R is popular because it's affordable and very flexible. It's capable of operating on both FRS and GMRS channels, and it can also transmit on ham radio frequencies when it's properly programmed. If you use the UV5R on FRS channels, following FRS rules and power limits, no ham license is required. However, the UV5R is also a full ham radio transceiver. To legally transmit on ham radio frequencies, you must have a ham license. There are 3 license levels: Technician, General, and Extra Class. The Technician license is the most common and allows local and regional communication. It requires passing a multiple choice test, but there is no Morse code requirement. GMRS radios fall in between. Some GMRS radios require a simple FCC license that can be obtained online for about $10. There's no test, and the license covers your immediate family. GMRS allows higher power and the use of repeaters, which can significantly extend range. The takeaway is simple. FRS requires no license and is the easiest starting point. GMRS requires a small fee and offers more range. Ham radio requires a test, but provides the most flexibility. You don't have to start with ham radio, but it's a valuable skill to build over time. Walkie-talkies won't solve every communication problem, but they solve enough of them to matter. Before we finish, there's one more important part of communication that matters just as much as the radios themselves, and that's having a plan. A radio doesn't help much if nobody knows when to turn it on, what channel to use, or who they're supposed to contact. Decide your primary channel. Decide a backup channel. Decide when to check in. Decide where to meet if communication is lost. These plans don't have to be complicated. They just need to exist before something happens. Preparedness isn't just about having equipment. It's about knowing how and when to use it. This is not about panic. It's about preparation. Here at True Preparedness, we focus on realistic preparedness and tools that help everyday people stay capable when things go wrong and systems fail. Thanks for watching. Stay prepared, and we'll see you in the next video.